Hey everybody, my name is Keenan Tran, and today I'm going to talk to you about the design guide at an airport and using environmental laws behind that. So, what does this topic mean? Well, I'm pretty much describing how airports establish or innovates new designs at an airport. For an example, building new runways or adding more lights, modernize the airport, or maybe add new technology to the airports. So, I'm going to talk to you about why this is important and pretty much just going on with this presentation of environmental laws. I'm using the software that I have to record myself and also to record my PowerPoint on this phone. So, I'm going to zoom right on through there. Or 1 second. Okay, so like I said, design guide for airport technical standard and environmental laws. This is the Paris report number 2. So the objective of this presentation or this report is to talk to you guys about how we could increase passenger demand, deploy new technology, and increase passenger flow at an airport. The required collaboration and coordination is between agencies such as the FAA, the the local governments, the airport managers and engineers, etc. And the objectives is to pretty much adapt to the change, repurpose the available space that we have at an airport, maybe have the evolutionary change of all these new technology and adapting to all of these, just to satisfy the customers, or the passengers throughout the airport. So I'm going to talk to you about the environmental laws real quick. And it is important to establish new projects at an airport, like I said, and it's always critical to follow new regulations, that comes up. So the FAA, or the Federal Aviation Administration, explains the National Environmental Policy Act, as stated in the PowerPoint on the first bullet. And this regulation is needed to promote, safety meetings at airports for avoiding or reducing environmental impacts that could conflict with employees and civilians. So the requirement of Part 40 CFR 1501.2, this pretty much states that the FAA has regulated a requirement based on the NEPA Policy Act for processing planned projects, or like to reflect on environmental values to avoid delays and avoid potential conflict in the future. So airport planning is a great purpose, but following the laws behind its environment is very significant. So we had to talk to the airport sponsors and the FAA because we are liable for the people who are in the airport. So these projects could be, for example, runway links, maybe placing new lights inside or outside the airport, modernizing the airport, or building new terminals, or adding new technology in the airport. So we already talked about the requirements for the regulation. Now, what is the environmental concerns for this? Well, there's many things, but I'll just give you the top 3 that I have: noise abatement, chemical, heavy metals, and crowd control. And the FAA really notes on the noise abatement because there's a lot of noise at an airport. A lot of aircrafts around the city landing down on the runway strip. So a lot of people are annoyed by that around the airport, people who live around the airport. So this is pretty much why we are concerned about the environmental laws, so we don't conflict with people around the airport or inside the airport. All right, so I'm going to continue with the Paris report, and there's a 5-step process for designing a technical standard for building new projects at an airport. So step 1, existing literature review. So we have a study team that's collaborated together to figure out new designs, plans, which provides a detailed guidance in developing a design for U.S. airports in, such as like sizing, construction, signage, data, telecommunications, security. So that's step one, just planning out together as a team. Now, step two, stakeholder survey. So we want to obtain comments, concerns, and and just figure out what's desired for improvement. So we're talking to other like businesses, other airports about like what we're utilizing and see if it's a good idea. All right, now step three is a workshop and consultation. So we're gaining further in this project and discussing possible participation with this project to see if this is right to be released out for the airport and for people to see what's happening. So step four is site review. Pretty much we're putting the project out there and see if this is a good idea. So in particular, like I'm talking about like technology in this Paris report, like such as kiosk or like robots or robots guiding humans or passengers, throughout the airport, etc. And then step five is the key findings, which is like pretty much just summarizing, analyzing further key findings that we have with the project that we are thinking about releasing. Okay, so in the Paris report, there's 42 ideas and it's arranged into 12 different findings. I'll describe one of the findings for you. So I'll be talking to you about the flow of passengers going through and out of the airport, checking in and all of that. So there's a little timeline here that I got from the research. So reading through, before 1970s, there were triple inspections on arrival. That's a lot of security there. And then in the 1980s, we had the use of X-rays. More technology is progressing, and then we were starting to introduce kiosk. And then after that, we had like one-stop processing, which makes things a lot quicker to go through in and out of the airport. So key finding number one. So we're adopting convertible processing kiosk, and this is important for the environmental law because there's a lot of people going through and waiting in line, which is kind of crowding the airport. So we want to figure out ways to kind of like ease the flow. So kiosk is a perfect way. And to utilize this, we have fingerprints for facial recognition, just to scan right on through a lot quicker in line. We have traveling document readers to just let it scan in the kiosk. And this is perfect for medium to large passenger volumes because it's just a real quick. There's multiple machines to, kind of scan each person in and out. So we're trying to move forward in the airport, and we're trying to build security as well as progressing, but we want to follow the laws as well. So continue with the summary that I have of this Paris report number 2. So we want to increase risk management, throughput of passengers, airline network improvements, and this is just to enhance the idea that like our design choices is a great choice, within airports. All right, so in conclusion, the process is long. When you want to make a new project or like you want to establish a project, you have to follow the laws. There's many laws besides environmental laws, there's contract laws there as well. But anyways, I'm going to continue this here. But following the NEPA or the NEPA and the advisory circular given from the FAA when building a project is very time consuming, and it's in accordance, and we have to follow the accordance to the law at federal, state, and local level. But the environmental laws help with the risk of people getting harmed, and following this really helps a lot that the pollution that there is around the airport, the noise, crowd control, chemical construction should be aware, So that's pretty much the PowerPoint that I have in the presentation, how it is important to, it's important to gain technology, utilizing it at an airport, but follow the laws. In this case, the environmental laws, because people could get harmed if not analyzed properly, with the NEPA Policy Act. So this is my presentation to you, and I'll try to make it short and brief. Thank you very much for listening, and have a good day.